Okay, welcome back to episode 3 of Wizard's Choice. Um, so anyway, we are we've just hit our first checkpoint. We found out that there's a lad down here who worships Nerul, I think it is. They're pretty bad, raising up the dead. Priests of Nerul are not fools and are able to harvest power from their deity to cast dangerous spells. However, you have the element of surprise, and there's only one of them. Do I want to get into a firefight? There also will likely be people around. I can attack without spells, so I can do a bit of like a judo chop, maybe. Although he seems to be pretty on edge, maybe waiting for someone. He's pacing up and down from what I remember. Yeah, element surprise, and there's only one of them. Is he guarding something, maybe? Let's spy for a bit. Where is she? How could she escape? The man mutters to himself. The sacrifice must appease him, he whispers. Sacrifice, you think, no doubt he is referring to human sacrifice, Nerul's favourite sort. What, my mistress? He whispers, tilting his head. You didn't hear anyone else. He must be talking to himself again. A moment later, the priest starts walking toward the door. You have cracked open. Quickly, you move away out of sight and listen for a few seconds. You hear nothing. Not even footsteps. What do you do? Okay, so he's definitely channeling something. So I think he's probably on about the girl that we let out last time. Walking toward the door you've cracked open. Quickly you move out the way, out of sight, and listen for a few seconds. You hear nothing, not even footsteps. Let's just wait. Ouch. You decide to wait a few more seconds. After all, the last time you saw him, he was headed toward the door. What a great ambush. Suddenly the door opens. Oh, I didn't even hear footsteps. Oh, that screwed me over there. Suddenly the door opens and the man is there, his finger pointed towards you. There is a crackle and a black bolt of energy slices into you. Evidently he saw you, after all. Okay, so I see what you mean. So he was probably charging up his attack while we were waiting. Reginald charges in. The priest ducks back as Reginald swings his sword, but not fast enough. The blade slashes his shoulder. He tries to run, chanting something, likely a prayer to his foul god. He never finishes it. Reginald cuts him down with one great cleave. Okay. Now that you're in the room, you can see that you're in living quarters. There are simple beds along the wall and a good-sized chest in the corner. Treasure, you think as you run over and try to lift the lid. Locked. That Nerulian priest did not die quietly, so perhaps you should have Reginald smash the lid with his sword and then get out of here. On the other hand, there ought to be a key around somewhere. Maybe you should take a few seconds to check. What do you do? Let's search around for a bit. It's a good point. He didn't go down quietly. I think we were a little bit worried about that. Made a mistake on not hitting him probably with our mana spells or anything. I think if we would have charged him, I think mana spells probably was the answer there. Let's have a little look around. Ooh, 40 gold. You stand guard while I search, you say to Reginald. You kick the body of the priest over. The corpse is a bloody mess, but you don't have time to be dainty about it. The man is nude other than the cloak and a golden amulet around his neck. The amulet is an unholy symbol of Nerul, the god of the undead. You would never keep such an evil thing, but it's coated in gold, so you could have it melted down. You rummage through his sticky cloak. Sure enough, you find a key. You trot over to the chest, key in hand. The key has the same hue of metal as the lock, and you are optimistic that it will fit. You are fumbling with the key when you hear something off in the distance, and a chill goes down your spine. Are you coming? Did they hear the priest cry out? More coming, sorry. Did they hear the priest cry out? Normally you are cautious with chests, having heard that they are sometimes trapped. However, searching the chest for traps will take time, and you're not particularly skilled in trap detection. What do you do? Okay, so if we're not particularly skilled in trap detection anyway, I think we probably use the key. What was that about when you hear something off in the distance and a chill goes down your spine? Yeah, let's do it quickly. What kind of booby trap is going to spring on someone with the proper key, you think to yourself? You carefully, good point. You carefully insert the key into your lock. It's a fit. You close your eyes as you turn the key. The top of the chest pops open as though on a spring, and nothing happens. You exhale in relief. Whew. Inside is a bag full of gold pieces. I've got just a vision of Reginald just sort of covering himself with his forearm, maybe over his eyes, sort of half looking away but keeping a close eye on the chest as well. Inside is a bag full of gold pieces, some platinum engraved china, and a small black bound writing book. You gather up your loot and hurry out the room. The two of you have only taken a few steps into the dark hallway when you see flickering light up ahead. You could run back into the room and hide, prepare a firebolt to cast down the hall, or cast an illusion to try and distract whoever is coming. So I like cast an illusion. I think if we hide back in the room, then we've obviously got that Nerul priest there, and they're going to know the game is up. So let's maybe cast an illusion. Oh, got an ad. Ooh, okay, apologies about that. An interesting choice. You wave your hands and infuse yourself with magical energy. Now you must prepare in your mind the illusion. In order to protect a convincing illusion, it is best to pick something that you have seen before, but you are tempted to pick something fearsome in order to scare them. What will the illusion be of? I don't think our guy is much of an adventurer. I like the sound of the dragon, but I think actually probably a horde of goblins is more accurate just because it's fresh in our mind. A dragon, I don't think we've ever heard. We haven't even heard if they're sort of in this realm at all. I'd assume that they are, but it seems a bit like Skyrim-y. But again, if we've never seen one, we don't seem a particularly seasoned veteran, so they would probably notice that something was off. So let's go horde of goblins. You cast a spell, so that was a good result. Gold increased by 60, morale increases by 1. You cast a spell, and a horde of illusionary goblins armed with spears materialise, running down the hall, yipping and snarling. Reginald, and this is quite believable as well, I think, because obviously this is a little bit further into the keep, but they weren't sort of too far away anyway when I think the ogre or the troll was behind that door. So it's not sort of out of the realms of possibility that they're invading the castle, took a wrong turn, gone exploring, looking for loot or whatever it is. So Reginald has worked with your illusions before. He knows what to do. He runs down the hall at a pace just behind your goblins, sword drawn. Around the corner appears 2 cloaked men, priests of Nerul, you suppose. They freeze for a moment, completely taken by surprise, and then begin hurling bolts of darkness at the goblins in front of the charge. The bolts go through the illusions, and you can see in their torchlight that the priests are furious at being tricked. Too late for them. Reginald closes on down with his sword and cuts them both down. Nice one, Reginald. Absolute boss. You take the time to search the bodies and find golden unholy symbol medallions on each of them, as well as 1 silver dagger. Not bad for 20 seconds of work. I tire of looting corpses. Let us be off and find the merchants and a glorious reward, you exclaim. So the merchants, so the young girl that we found, this is who she was travelling with, I think, before she was taken. Off you go, deeper into the castle. Soon you find yourself in a library. However, all the books are gone. From the tall wooden shelves, either stolen or destroyed. As a wizard, this is disappointing to you. All castle libraries have secret doors, you announce. After searching for a little while, you notice a small statue of a winged boy reading a book worked into a stone wall. You press on the statue's arm and it shifts down. There is a grinding sound and you see the bookshelf nearby crack open from the wall. You wedge your fingers into the gap and pry open the door. Immediately before you are stairs descending into darkness. Okay. Dear reader, normally I would give you a choice of whether or not you go down the stairs, but really who finds a secret door and chooses not to investigate? And so with lantern in hand you descend a few steps and then listen. It's deadly quiet down here and chilly. You urge Reginald to take the lead. After all, he's wearing the armour. There is a small metal lever on the inside of the passage that you suppose is what you use to open the door from the inside. Nevertheless, you decide to leave the door open. So let's have a look at that. There is a small metal lever on the inside of the passage that you suppose is what you... Oh, okay. So yeah, we will leave it open. We don't want anything going wrong down here or getting trapped down here. The last thing you need is to get trapped in this evil-smelling place. Correct. It is some time before you finally reach a small empty chamber. On the far wall is a large iron door. Scrawled over the door in a rusty red dye and more likely dried blood is a set of elaborate symbols. Gods, what is that? Says Reginald, playing the lantern light over the symbols. It is writing in the infernal tongue, you say, a language of devils, demons, and other beasts that inhabit the nightmare universes. At times I do not envy your knowledge, says Reginald with a faint shudder. So, I mean, our guy seems a bit of a noob, but he also has some, I don't know whether it is textbook knowledge or, again, seems to have, from that comment above about the library, know his way around a library. I don't know how much life skills our guy has got. It certainly hasn't described any previous adventures that we've been on, so I'll leave it up to interpretation. The study of magic leads to many dark places, you say. The trick is not to wander too far into the void. What does it say? Asks Reginald in a tone that is not at all enthusiastic or curious. Okay, so what does it say? You study the symbols. They are crudely drawn, as though in haste, perhaps scrawled by bloody fingers. I cannot be sure. I believe it is a ward of some sort, a protection spell. Yeesh, okay. So, has something been locked down here, or is something keeping itself safe down here? A protective spell using such foul language, Reginald sniffs. I would expect a curse or a fiendish summoning. It is protection against such a summoning, a barrier, you say. Evil knows evil best, and a spellcaster of black magic understands the need to protect himself from the terrors they bring into this world. Okay, so that's quite interesting there. So evil knows evil best, and a spellcaster of black magic understands he needs the need to protect himself from the terrors they bring into this world. So that's quite an interesting point, that in the underworld there is a lot, or sort of it has to be controlled. You couldn't just leave a door to the underworld open or to a different realm, because God knows what would come out. Not beneficial for the spellcaster, could also very easily get caught up in it. So yeah, that is quite a nice bit of detail there. Reginald grimaces and points the tip of his sword at the warded door. Only a fool would go down there, although I am more a man of curiosity than wisdom. You slap his shoulder, making a dull sound against his breastplate, as you have proven time and again. What do you want to do? I mean, at first glance, this is, on the surface, this is protect, don't let it out. But then also it could be something where we're keeping people, where there's something that people don't want to find, possibly something important. Let's open the door. Maybe there's treasure room beyond, you joke. Fortune and glory, my friend, Reginald says with a broad smile. The large iron door shudders and screeches as Reginald slowly prizes it open. Once open, your friend's face drops and you soon realise why. A powerful stench wafts up from the dark stairs below. He takes a deep breath and plunges down the stairway. Okay, so this is the first time it has done adverts in game. Apologies about that. I'll try and pause it whenever that happens as quick as possible. The two of you descend for some time before you enter into a large room, eerily illuminated by green flaming torches fastened to each of the walls. Near the far wall is a dais leading up to an altar with skulls inlaid into the frame. Some human, others of animals or perhaps monsters. The lower altar is blood-stained and covered with candles in golden candle holders arranged around a book. The book is bound in what might very well be mummified human skin with hand and finger bones embedded into the cover as though the book were in the grasp of the dead. Wow, fantastic detail there. The title is in Infernal, but you don't recognise the words. Beyond the book is a raised part of the altar, white stone seemingly scoured, clean of bloodstains. This surface has more candles, a golden cup, so this is probably where the sacrifices are being taken, and a large golden bowl filled with some dark liquid, maybe blood. Just before the altar is a narrow but deep pit. Shining the lantern in, you make out something gleaming, white, a skeletal arm and hand. Reginald adds his light to yours, and you can now see a heap of bodies at various stages of decay. The heap is crawling with rats and other vile scavengers, so I think obviously this probably is where the human sacrifices have been taken, the merchants have been taken here. I think we're in the right place to probably find them. Again, follow your nose, I think, on an adventure. Sacrifices, the source of the stench, you mutter. I would bet my last copper that Seba's father and the rest of the caravan are among them. Reginald makes a face of disgust. I say we swiftly pilfer what we can from this unholy place and leave. I think the reality is that most of them, if not all, are dead at this point, and Seba probably will have some bad news by the time we get back to her. I don't think there's going to be any way of identifying who her father was or anything like that, but maybe a trinket, maybe a locket or something like that may prove it. So let's have a look around if we can. As he says this, the bowl on the upper altar begins to tremble as the candlelight around it ripples. Something is coming, you whisper. It is already here, says Reginald. Black smoke billows up from the bowl and swiftly takes the shadowy form of a horned fiend. His glowing, pitiless eyes rove about the chamber, taking in everything. Oh, look at that. Well, it certainly sounded a lot bigger than what it looks like. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. I see what they mean about the glowing, pitiless eyes rove around the chamber, taking in everything. Demon, you shout. Despite the terrified look on his face, Reginald has already unslung his backpack, as though preparing to scoop valuables from the altar. He might have the right idea. After all, you came here for loot, and it might take a moment for this shadow beast to fully take form. Ah, right, so the smoke is obviously adding to his mass or size or whatever. That strange book might be valuable. Finally, maybe you can disrupt this fiend's arrival by knocking over the bowl. But do you dare? After all, this monster hasn't acknowledged you yet, and messing about with his bowl is likely a dangerous way to introduce yourself. What do you do? Yeah, let's grab the book and run. I completely agree with, obviously, if we knock that bowl over, it could be a lot worse. As to whether it's a portal to somewhere or, knocking over the bowl could quicken the process. Yeah, I think grabbing the book and running is probably the best one here. Eesh, life. Loot and run, you whisper as you open your backpack and toss the book into your bag. Reginald gets to work blowing out candles and throwing the golden candlesticks into his backpack. You follow his example. You have nearly cleared off the lower table of the altar when you hear, "Your souls are mine." The voice is a hiss and its words are in the infernal language. "Now we run," you shout as you turn, slinging on your backpack. A terrible cold grips your shoulder, making you scream. Breaking free of the cold, you bolt up the stairs, leaping 3 steps at a time. There is a wheezing snarl not far behind. You make it through the large iron door. The door is heavy and the hinges are tight. Nevertheless, you expect that if you hurl your weight against it, you can knock it shut before this will take time. And the demon is nearly upon you. Yeah, definitely try to close it. You run into the room, turn back and slam your weight against the door. There's a reason also why this door is closed. So yeah, we definitely want to keep that thing down there. Which grudgingly shuts with a whine of its hinges. Well, it almost shuts. Some debris has fallen in the way, keeping it open a crack. There is a snarl and the door shakes, but the arcane symbols scrawled on the door appear to be a ward meant to provide a barrier to the spirits. You would like to open the door enough to kick the debris out the way and shut it properly, but you don't dare. Instead, you concentrate on running as fast as possible up the stairway after Reginald. Okay, Reginald's got the right idea. He's just absolutely booking it from the sounds of it. As you reach the secret door in the library, there is a great bang that echoes from below, followed by a jubilant shout of "Freedom!" "Keep running," you shout to Reginald. He does not seem to need this encouragement as he sprints out the library door. You follow him out of the library and down several passageways. Rounding a corner, you are suddenly in a large and lavish furnished room filled with soft light of dozens of candles. In the middle are 3 of the evil priests holding hands, surrounding what appears to be a pile of corpses. The men are chanting in the infernal language. One of the corpses begins to twitch. Just to the side of the priest stands a massive ogre. His pale white body and large, cold, dark eyes fix on Reginald. Meanwhile, the corpse that has been twitching springs up to its feet with alarming speed. You think you recognize him as one of the priests you had killed earlier. The undead creature levels its hungry gaze on you. What do you do? Charming the ogre looks a nice one. But I think if we're spending 3 mana, that would be a valuable ally. So here's the thinking here. If I'm spending 3 mana, I may as well spend 4. I don't think attacking with my dagger will do. I like charming the ogre. That will serve as a really nice distraction. But also we don't know to what extent we don't know to what extent the ogre is possessed or whether it's even undead or whether it is living. His pale white body and a large cold dark eyes fix on Reginald. So I'm thinking this is probably pretty possessed at this point. I'd just assume with those cold dark eyes fixed on Reginald. I think we blast them. I would like to see what Charm the Ogre it does, but I think that would probably be a failed check. Although our mage seems pretty good actually. Just a little bit worried about that life. Let's blast him. Oh, we got the AoE. When you absolutely positively got to kill every mother in the room except no substitutes. Nice. So mana increase, but morale increases by 4. Kill them all, you shout. Reginald answers your call admirably by charging the undead corpse, and with a mighty cleave of his sword he completely decapitates it. The red eyes go to dull, and the thing flops to the floor. The ogre snarls and steps toward Reginald, its great club raised high above. You reach deep inside yourself and call forth your most powerful spell. Flames shoot from your fingers, engulf the ogre. It screams in pain and crashes to the floor in a pillar of fire. With the ogre out of his way, Reginald gets to work hacking on the priests. You join him with your dagger, and before you know it, all your enemies lie dead on the ground around you. Nice, so we seem to be handling ourselves sort of all right.
Begin an epic adventure in...
Okay, so stat booster available. You can spend luck points to improve your stats and possibly get you through tough parts. You will now find an option to boost survival stats at the bottom of your choices. Okay, so right, let's get to that. As you and Reginald catch your breath, from somewhere in the castle echoes the distinct raspy cackle of that dark spirit. With the hellish eyes, a chill goes up your spine. You do not want to tangle with that thing again. You suspect neither your spells nor blades can harm it. Perhaps it would be wise to run from this cursed place. On the other hand, maybe you could afford to take a few seconds to search the bodies of your recently fallen enemies. But there is still the matter of the merchant's daughter, Seba. So let's have a look at boost survival stats. So this is another thing that I did have a look at, but I didn't actually go into. So it's now prompted me to do it. So life, I think I do want to increase that a little bit. Is that taken away from my luck? It is. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me take 3 mana, possibly a ward, or possibly to do a protective spell. I just don't... you get more by unlocking achievements or going to the store. Okay. Let me keep my life as it is then, but I do like having a little bit of mana. Or is 6 luck better? No, I think that might get me out of a sticky situation. Let's save that. Let's search the bodies. It was hard and dangerous work killing those villains, and now it's time to profit. There's plenty of time for maiden rescuing and running later, you hope. Although you allow yourself only a little time for corpse searching, you find 3 golden unholy symbols and several pouches of gold. Just then you hear a blood-curdling scream not far away. Before you can react, you see Seba, her eyes bloodshot, run into the candlelight. Gods, we must flee, a monster comes. Yeah, whoopsie, we probably should have dealt with Seba. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to watch some videos because these current coins unlock future chapters and series. So I'm just going to pause here for a sec. So I guess the good thing is we don't have to find Seba because she's come to us. The 3 of you run. The ears, you complain as you run through the castle in entrance chamber. You are referring to the goblin corpses from which you could harvest trophies. No number of rubbery ears are worth your salt, Reginald exclaims. Okay, so we start seeing now our character sort of pull for treasure, even though he is in sort of mortal danger. Again, it's almost like an affliction where any opportunity to get loot or to get riches or whatever it is. But then Reginald, it really is sort of the voice of reason. Despite your present anxiety, this strikes you as somewhat funny, and you plan to remind him of his words later, if you survive. So we even know we're in mortal danger here. For now, you do as your friend advises and keep running. The three of you retreat to the forest. You are all exhausted, and so once safely away from that cursed ruin, and reasonably certain no evil follows, you make camp because you are still in Goblin Country. You decide against the campfire. Instead, you will have to just do with the sleeping roll in your backpack. Every good adventurer's backpack has a sleeping roll in it. It is rather cold night, and you notice Seba carries nothing but the ripped up clothing on her back. What do you do? So here I can, it looks like I can pretty much boost survival stats at any point. I see why. Okay, so if I was short on mana or whatever it is, okay, so the play there is don't spend it until you need to. Or if you get like hit for 3, then go back on. But it does look like it affects your luck, which is a little bit annoying. Offering to share a blanket. So she's just lost her father, definitely dead, lost everyone that she knows, met a couple of handsome dudes, but is she in the right mind frame? It's also probably pretty insensitive. Offer her your blanket, or shrug and go to sleep. Let's be a gentleman here and offer her your blanket. Oh, life increases by 5. Mana increases by 5 as well, so we are in a good spot. My lady, you bow, my blanket is yours. You present the blanket in your outstretched arms. Such a gentleman. She smiles, curtsies, and takes the blanket from you. Chivalry is alive and well in the Fallowland Forest, she says to you. She then quickly gathers up a pile of leaves and pine needles into a woodland bed and curls up. I'll take the first watch, Reginald offers, and then sighs contentedly as he pulls out his own blanket from his backpack and wraps it around himself. Oh, so he doesn't offer it to us then. He then plops down with his back against a tree. Well, he's probably thinking, what an idiot. So, again, he seems very much the voice of reason. You stare at him expectantly and clear your throat several times until he finally gives up his joke and hands you his blanket. You then roll up in it and fall fast asleep. It is your watch, Reginald says as he shakes you awake. After some stretching, yawning and complaining, you hand Reginald his blanket and take your turn at the watch. So nothing's happened. I'd assume that the first watch is probably about 2-3 hours. Your eyes wander to the sleeping merchant's daughter. A slither of moonlight has escaped through the branches above and illuminates her delicate nose. You decide that it's a pretty little nose. For whatever reason, this leads you to wonder if even your pinky would fit into one of her tiny nostrils. You chuckle to yourself as you imagine the expression on her face, waking with your finger in her nose, and then you feel a pang of guilt for imagining this. The young maiden has just lost a father. I should not make sport of her, even in my mind, you think. So there's a little bit of an insight into possibly the age of our character as well. Quite immature. As I said, I'd imagine that he's fairly new to adventuring, fairly young. Not a huge amount of experience about the world, or certainly with women maybe. But yeah, an interesting little insight in those lines there. It's obvious that you need something to occupy your thoughts in order to stay awake. So I am conscious of time here. Let's see. Okay, we've reached the checkpoint there. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. Good episode today. Happy now that my life is back up to 11. Mana's up to 8. Gold is looking good at 450. Morale is fantastic at 18. So yeah, ding ding. We've reached a checkpoint. And yeah, just by the looks of it, the first few lines here, you wait until Reginald begins snoring before you pull your spellbook out of your backpack. Reginald hates it when you study magic while you are supposed to be keeping watch, but you need something to distract you. Okay, so here we go. So we'll see you next time. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. I've actually really enjoyed this series so far. Great little departure from my usual stuff, and hopefully you have as well. Fingers crossed you are enjoying the comment, and it does mean a lot to me, your support as well. So if you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, a comment, what you've enjoyed about the series so far, and please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. You can go over, join the Discord, chat with me as well, and plenty of other guys who are probably listening to the series as well. I will see you all next time.